Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1463 of our daily content grind. Are you ready to start year 5? Because here we go. So I kind of got to thinking about this the other day. I find that a lot of the Transformers that I really liked as a kid, I kind of latched onto because they were special amongst different Transformer characters, like Reflector is like a three bodies as one robot, that's interesting. Like that kind of clicked something in my head as a kid. Trailbreaker's using force fields. No one else uses force fields, so those unique traits, like things that would essentially be equivalent to superhero abilities, were kind of the things that drew me to certain Transformer characters back in the Season 1 era. Now, when it comes to this, I do want to make a mention. I don't mean someone with weaponry, okay? Like Starscream's Null Rays, okay, that's iconic for him. But there's other characters who use Null Rays. Like, they aren't unique to him. It just so happens he has them strapped to his arm. It's more or less a weapon he is specializing in. No different than, having a ranger in D&D that can use a bow. My barbarian can't use a bow. Same kind of thing. Doesn't count to me. Doesn't count, which eliminates half of the original Autobots, right? So like Cliffjumper's unique trait is his glass gas. And we know, like, no, that's just a gun he's holding. And we know it's not even unique to different Transformers because we know from SOS Dinobots, Wheeljack was able to use Blue Streak and Sideswipe's weapons. So it's not just for them. I am looking for special abilities. I am looking for things that border on magic. Because magic is canonically existing in G1 Transformer fiction. And there's some abilities Transformers have that's just like, I know you can find scientific reason. It's future sci-fi stuff, But it comes across like magic or superpowers, which really reminds you the fact that people from Marvel Comics were the ones writing the bios and abilities for these characters. So, let me run through the ones that we had in G1. The ones that are of particular note. Not characters who don't just have weaponry, they have some sort of special ability or powers, or something that just makes them more superhero than just normal robot. And I think that begins with Jazz and his control over sound. Now, yes, it is speaker-based. He could just be pumping his speakers very, very loud. I will give you that. But there is something about the fact that he can direct it. There is something about the fact that he can make it, louder than any Earth speaker possibly could. To the point where it does become weaponized, Like, we have technology like that today that didn't exist in 1984. You have ships for the Coast Guard that have sonic weaponry as deterrents now. It's essentially what Jazz was doing back then. And yeah, it kind of borderlines on a superpower when you can just do this, In the same way that, like, we have, like, Black Canary and Black Bolt, depending on DC or Marvel, whose voice is incredibly powerful. I have a voice. It's very weak. I can't do any damage with this voice unless you're a bad Transformer toy. No, like, so I'm giving it to Jazz just because, like, yeah, it's an ability any of them could possibly have, but, like, yeah, like, there's definitely something special to him. If we move up in the chain, we get to things like Trailbreaker, and, here we go. Force fields. No one else gets to use force fields. This is one where, like, you would think everyone would be capable of this, right? The force field is so special. And I don't know why. Like, if the tech exists, why doesn't every Transformer just have a personal force field? Why isn't it this, like, the overshield in, like, Fortnite? And everyone's got a shield that can be, that they can use as defense first before they start taking real damage. Where's that? Like, clearly there's something special about Trailbreaker if he can generate these force fields, but nobody else can. And that kind of gets explained in IDW as being like a 0.1 percenter. The idea that 1 in every 1,000 sparks is far more powerful and comes with abilities like this. And that's okay. Okay. I can give you that. That is a potential. That is possible. But yeah, it has to be like a superpower, right? It has to be a superpower. It's too useful not to equip on everybody. So why just him? Okay. That's what I mean. Unique abilities, superpowers. Wind Charger is the only one who can use magnetic abilities. He doesn't use them all that often because he's not in that many episodes as a spotlight. But again, we're dealing with a race of mechanical creatures who use mechanical weapons. They're all made of metal. So someone who has magnetic abilities, Wind Charger, you could make an argument, should be the most powerful Autobot of all of them. I don't know, like according to his bio, he's got like power reserve problems. He doesn't have enough power to like really deliver on this. Okay, fine. Hook him up to a few hundred Duracells if you have to. He can control metal. We're all made of metal. This is no-brainer. This is no-brainer. He really should be like the most powerful and effective Autobot, right? Right? But again, falls into the realm of special abilities, special power. Like, this is very Magneto. This is very superpower. He's using magnetism when he himself is made of metal. Clearly, he has some good control over it. Clearly, it is special in some way, right? Not the only Minibot with something going on for him. So there's also Brawn, who happens to be incredibly powerful and incredibly durable, unless the writers decide his toy isn't selling anymore. Then all of a sudden he can be taken down to one shot, and it's not actually his shoulder. It's like right here. It still doesn't look like a fatal spot to me. Point being, more than once in the original cartoon, they make it a point to show that not only is Brawn incredibly strong, but yes, he is very durable as well. I watched Thundercracker bat around Cliffjumper like a baseball, crash straight into Brawn, and Brawn didn't budge. And we also have enormous feats of strength. Brawn's one of the physically strongest of all of the Autobots, so how, with such a small frame? If you could design him to be this strong, why wouldn't you design all of them to be this strong? That's where you start getting into that, like, well, what if? Why not? Because there's something special about Brawn. Superpower. And this is the kind of thing that was kind of fun, There's almost like some whimsy to it. I think that's what a lot of these powers come down to. There's a whimsy to how G1 balanced itself between characters with specialized weapons and characters with actual superpowers, So it's like there's this nice little mix, and I gravitated to the superpower ones, apparently. Let's talk about two of the most notable ones. There's Hound, who is supposed to be a scout, and as a scout uses holograms in order to create disguises or diversions. And then there is Mirage, who can turn invisible. Can we agree their powers should be swapped? I wasn't big on Mirage from Rise of the Beasts actually using the wrong illusionary abilities, but at the same time, like it actually makes more sense. Because if you're Hound, and if you are Hound, if you are a tracker, if you are a spy, if you are good at hounding in general, you know what would make for a really, really good scout? Being invisible. Being invisible would make you an exceptionally good scout, right? And then if you're Mirage, you are literally named after optical illusions that make things appear that aren't really there. Why do you turn invisible? Why aren't you generating holograms? This is flipped. This whole thing feels flipped. Is it just me? I know it's semantics. I know it works either way, but seriously. But again, these are two abilities that we can't really replicate on Earth with tech, and we're not sure how. Like, we're getting somewhere with hologram tech, but it needs something projected to. We're getting, like, there's some ways that you can trick light into making things harder to see, but it's not true invisibility. Like, seriously, like, there's tech that can come close, maybe, but again, it falls under the sci-fi, and it still, again, feels more like magic. This is stuff I did as my illusion wizard in D&D. On the Decepticon side, not as many like that. You know, their super abilities end up being things like, you know, Megatron being an arm cannon and mass shifting, Soundwave mass shifting, and having other bots inside him. You know, then weaponry base like Starscream, etc. I guess Rumble causing like directed earthquakes would count as a superpower, just because like he can just bash the ground and make a fissure show up wherever he wants. Okay, but you could also just call that calculating, just knowing where to strike. We don't have many superpowers in the Decepticons, really. You've got Thundercracker that can generate sonic booms, and that it doesn't really specify that he can do it based on his own personal speed, which is that seems like, again, something you could at least drop onto basically anybody. And it just got me curious. You'll excuse me if I double check something real quick. Just because, you know, like, I feel like he's given sonic booms just because his name is Thundercracker. His speed is 9, which means there's room to grow. There are faster Decepticons than he. So I don't think it should be unique that he's doing sonic booms. That seems like a little bit of, an error. Yeah, like Starscream's also got a 9 in speed. So what's the point? He never uses them anyway. Like, he never uses sonic booms in the cartoon. Like, a couple times in the comic books. The IDW comic books. Ah, well. Loss. It's a lost opportunity. The only one who seems completely immune, and the only one who seems to, like, continue to get his powers is Skywarp. Even when he is a she, they still get to use teleporting, because that's just so ingrained into the character at this point. And again, it's tech that's impossible with Earth. I have to count it as some kind of magic or superpower, you know, just because it makes it fun, you know? It lets Skywarp stand out from the other Seekers, and he has this little trick. And it does make you wonder, well, what do the others do? Ramjet just crashes into you. That's his special ability, being an idiot. But no, like, I feel like in modern Transformers, you don't get this anymore. I mean, we got there a little bit with Earthspark. Like, the connection to Quintus did give them abilities that we don't normally see, that can range in just like super science or deity magic. In general, a lot of what the 13 do, you could kind of qualify in the realm of just like magic or superpowers, right? So Earthspark did a little bit of that. I wish the show hadn't gotten canceled so they could have explored it more. But that really is it. Between that show and G1, even G1 Season 1, you just seem to lose it. Like, once Season 2 came around, who had special abilities? I mean, you had typical stuff like triple changers and all that, but like, what was Red Alert's special ability? Being super paranoid. Like, that's it. Like that's it. Like, we went down to like character quirks instead of actual tangible abilities. So where does Red Alert fall in all of this? You know, like what ability does he get? Like, none. And I could say that of Inferno. I could say that of Trax. I could say that of, you know, like Beachcomber. Like, he's got sensors for detecting rocks. Yay. I could say it for Sea Spray. I could say it for a lot of the Season 2 cast. You know, what's Power Glide's special ability? Getting creepy with human girls. He's not even a good flyer. Like, if you read his bio, he dogfights because he can't outfly any of the Seekers. So, like, he doesn't compete in the air. So what happened What happened? I thought this felt like, cause where did the Marvel writing go? Where did the Marvel team go after season 1 that we couldn't get like special abilities and little tricks and magical things happening in season 2? Season 2 is where they introduced actual magic. We have actual wizards in season 2. So what now? Like what now? I don't get it. Like it just felt like something got lost, right? I feel like it's why season 2 cast members don't really stick to me the same way season 1 did, just because they just feel not as whimsical, not as fun, because they're just kind of robots at that point. We've had brushes with like Transformers of magical or superhero abilities since then, but it's never really a long-lasting theme. Tiger Hawk, I can only describe as magic. Like, how is he doing any of this? He's controlling lightning with his hands. He's, like, glowing with fire. Like, yeah, like, there's something weird going on there. You can pass it off as just, as, like, space science, whatever. But also, he's commanding lightning! IDW tried a little bit. Like I said, we had things like the 0.1 percenters. Like, we had things like that where, like, was it Phase Sixers? I mean, it's been a while since I read up on this, but, like, you had explanations for superpowered Transformers, and you did have characters with abilities like Trailbreaker, Trail Cutter, I guess. But you also had attempts to make new things like city speaking, being able to talk to a Titan, when it was, but then you have to write that in. I guess you have to write in everything. Point being, like, it's getting rare. It's getting rare. The last Bastion I kind of felt was animated, because animated tried to depict the characters as superheroes. Remember, it was originally Transformers Heroes. There was literally going to be a superhero vibe to it, where each Autobot had special abilities to themselves, and we kind of got that, Ratchet had EMP and magnetic abilities. You had Bumblebee with like the paralyzing stingers. A lot of it did boil down to just weaponry again, like Bulkhead's chain and Prime's axe, things like that. But they were making an effort. They're making an effort to feel superhero. I don't think anything comes close in that regard more than Prowl and his space robot ninjutsu and all the stuff he did there. He was like robot Naruto in that show. So you had some element of supernatural, spooky mysticism stuff. Really, I feel like the only modern contribution to just like, this is a superpower, this is a Transformer with superpowers, is Sunstorm. Like, he feels like the last bastion of G1 actually delivering some kind of, like, superpowered, borderline magical character. And it's a character we never even use anymore. Sunstorm is just kind of nowhere. I've brought him up more than once recently. We might have to do, like, an unused character profile on how to use Sunstorm today. But it does kind of come across when you're talking about superpower Transformers and what exactly makes a magical Transformer. This is a very long-winded saying, way of saying, like, I miss the whimsy that this brought to the franchise. I look at Cyberworld, and it's literally just everyone's just a robot who's just collecting guns. There's no special abilities. There's nothing unique about them. There's no powers or anything. It all just feels like, robots. So I feel like the franchise lost some whimsy along the way, and I kind of want it back. Let me know if you miss this element of Transformers, if you would be okay with like the superhero or magical aspect of the franchise coming back, because I feel like I'm missing it these days. I kind of wish we had it right about now. So that's your assignment for the comment section below. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday / early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.